everybody. I'm Urban Huerta, the account executive for the Golf Lab team. My team consists of Tiffany, Ivana, Jessica, Trevor, and Zach. Our client was the Golf Lab, and which, after some careful consideration, was renamed to the Golf Research Lab. It's a biomechanics lab which houses cutting-edge technology that allows to mathematically analyze a golfer's swing in 3D. It's the first time this type of service is offered to the general public. It's usually just pro golfers. Our clients were Dr. Nafal and Dr. Lin, who are both avid golfers and passionate about the game. They both came together for the Golf Lab to examine how the human movement patterns and how they relate to injury through bad habits, and how they can improve that through the analytics of the golf swing. And now I'll pass it on to Jessica to do the SWOT analysis.
Thank you, Irvin. So the SWOT analysis we came up with for the lab in general, the strengths that we found was that it is a new product. In terms of an image, it has no preconceiving idea of the image, so we were starting from the ground up, establishing all names, logos, and anything thus far. The client's enthusiasm was also a strength. They are Dr. Nafal and Dr. Lin are very enthusiastic and really, really believe in their product in terms of what they could do for potential customers. Also, there's little competition. In terms of a lab like this available to the general public, there is none other like it. Most labs are for sponsored pro golfers. For weaknesses, a weakness was that it's no brand. As mentioned before, they didn't have an official name before we came along. There was no logo, no social media, and no sponsorship in terms of promotion either. Another weakness was an organization. If it was just a lab, it would have been fine. However, since we would like consumers or potential sponsors to come in, a professional demeanor would be very nice. Location was another issue. It is located in the lower level of the kinesiology building. If we didn't tell you it was there, you would walk by, or you could walk past it very easily, and you need an escort to find the lab through the building, so it's like a maze. The last weakness is lack of promotion. As mentioned before, no social media, no sponsorships to promote the name made it difficult. Another opportunity was prevalence of golf in Southern California. We found that there's around 25 golf courses within the proximity of the lab, many opportunities to reach out to other golfers. Golf is a lifetime sport. We found that kids as young as 3 can play golf all the way up to 80, so there's many demographics you can reach. And golf coaches are looking for different tools to present to their clients. The Golf Lab could fit that niche. Threats. Titleist. Titleist is a big name in golf. Many pro golfers use this company and their lab to better themselves. Another threat, other labs. When speaking to other companies, we found that they have similar technology, not exactly the same, but similar, and it would be difficult, or it wouldn't be in their best interest to sponsor or partner with a lab like the Golf Lab. Another threat was lack of funds. This lab is partially funded by Cal State Fullerton, and it relies on donations. So funds for us were not easily available. And our final threat was time constraint. We worked with them during the final stint of our semester here. We had many goals and objectives that we would have liked to complete, however, time was an issue. So now I'll pass it to Tiffany for goals and objectives.
Thank you, Jessica. So moving forward, our group had 3 major goals in mind. It was to A, establish the brand, B, to raise awareness, and C, to get sponsorship from sponsors. We were able to create the brand or establish it by creating the name, the Golf Research Lab at CSUF, along with the logo to go along, so we can use that throughout all the different social media platforms, letterhead, things like that. We were able to increase awareness by establishing social media platforms because they were not there before, and we were able to make it all uniform, so it looks like one front, or one united front. And we were able to get sponsors by reaching out to different golf pros and country clubs in the area and speaking to them about the services that we offered. Now, the key audience that we have here are any and all golfers. Like Jessica mentioned before, golfing can start at a very early age, from 3 years old all the way up to 80 years old. So it's a very huge demographic. However, through research, we found that the more specific demographic that we're looking for is a male in their 50s and with disposable income. We see that this is more beneficial to the Golf Research Lab because of the fact that we don't charge for our services, but donations are crucial, I guess, to the longevity of the Golf Research Lab. So if people can give donations for the services that we offer, which they would be able to if they had a disposable income, it would be beneficial to us. Now I'm going to pass it over to Trevor for strategies, tactics, and tools.
Thank you, Tiffany. So discussing strategies, tactics, and tools, our main idea was to brand this organization and help create it to be what it is today. So first things first, we tried to seek the help of different people to actually help us promote this product. So first, starting with the video that we created. So we sought out the help of a couple people. One, Kyle Haynes, who is a professional photographer specifically designed for headshots, and Marcellus Bradford, who does freelance work with ESPN filming to help put together these videos. We then moved on to help create a template for a logo for the Golf Research Lab. And this is the final template we came up with. This is what they wanted it to look like exactly. Moving on from that, we also created headshots for Dr. Lynn and Nafal and the other people that worked there so that they could implement them into both their social media as well as into their website that we recommended them to design and create. Moving on from that, we moved on to trying to acquire sponsorships. Zachary sought out sponsorship with Puma's Cobra division, and I sought out sponsorship with Oakley. Unfortunately, the time constraints made it too difficult to set a deal together, and it would have been too hard to start and have them take over from there. So we moved on to a little bit smaller, and we did an outreach at golf courses. And we went door to door with golf courses. Initially, we went by them twice. Initially proposing a little elevator speech, trying to see if Golf Research Lab would be something they were interested in, and then creating contacts with them, and then setting up a potential meeting for them with the Golf Research Lab doctors. Moving on from that, we also went on to social media. And we created a template for all of their social media that is available. It's all under the Golf Research Lab name, and it's all easier to find because it's under one unified name. That being said, I'm going to take it to the lovely Ivana, who's going to talk about calendar and budget.
Thank you, Trevor. So unfortunately, our campaign was a little different in that it started halfway through the semester. Our first meeting with Dr. Nafal and Dr. Lin was on March 6th. From there, we decided that branding was going to be the focus of our campaign. So we created the video, the logo, and the headshots along with other promotional items to service that need. In April is when we implemented social media along with the outreach campaign that Trevor just talked about. And in May, we talked to potential sponsors. That didn't pan out exactly as how we would have hoped, but we did also reach out to sponsors. Now moving on to budget. Unfortunately, we did not have a budget. Since the Golf Research Lab is based primarily on donations, it was a little difficult to get a budget set to us. So all the work that we did was completed through industry connections, along with not really needing funds for social media. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Zach to talk about outcomes.
Okay, so just to touch on campaign outcomes a little bit, obviously the intended was a social media. We really started with this lab from the ground floor. So they didn't, like I said, they didn't have a logo, they had no websites, they had no social media. We pretty much had to do almost more business development than the PR campaign. So we started with social media. Obviously we did the branding, we got the logo, that sort of thing. Outreach, that was a really thing that me and Trevor wanted to focus on, was trying to get these golf courses involved, and that sort of thing. So those were our intended. Unintended, as Trevor said, obviously the social media, we had some growth. We didn't have time to implement it, we didn't have enough time from when we launched the social media campaign to really, wield any results from that. But that's obviously in our recommendations that the next group will continue the social media. We obviously did the content, so now we have actually content to upload to the social media, whereas before we didn't really. Going to the sponsorship, Trevor is correct. When we spoke with Oakley and Cobra Puma, they kind of informed us immediately that most of the big corporations, the Titleist and the Puma and the Nikes and all them, they already have their own golf lab. So they don't really require this sort of research lab, which is why we ended up going with our outreach campaign. Moving on to measurements. So like I said, the campaign started a little late, so we couldn't have too many measurements as far as our social media likes. We didn't really think that would be too relevant. But looking at the quantitative data, we made over 30 contacts, so we were able to outreach to 30 golf professionals. Our conclusion, in our original, our final idea was that golf professionals would essentially rent out the golf lab for their clients. So their clients, they might need help with their swing. Any age, they would come into the golf lab, rented out by the golf professional. The golf professional would be able to analyze their swing and then use that data to kind of help them on the golf course. So that was, the data that's, originally, so we used the video, we used the brochure, we used all that sort of thing to outreach to the professionals to say, this is a public lab, and come in and use it, and so that's what we did. So moving on to the qualitative data, Instagram, people want to see the lab. It's a pretty cool thing. I mean, when you really look at it, it almost looks like you're being animated into a video game. You have the 3D monitors all over you. So it's a really cool product. So people want to see it. Just after launching the Instagram site, we had 18 likes. Doesn't seem like that much, but for the time that it's been up and and that sort of thing, we thought it was somewhat of a success. So obviously the next group will continue the social media. We have the content, we have the videos, the headshots and that sort of thing. So that will obviously continue to grow. So leading into our recommendations, obviously hire a PR intern. It's a really useful strategy. As most companies should utilize. Continue the social media. It's vital. People want to see this. They want to see it for themselves. They want to use social media to really outreach. Open house event. The lab is really cool. It's in a great. The location of it at the school isn't great, but the facility itself is pretty magnificent. It's a big open space. When you actually see the golf lab and the technology, you're kind of stunned by it for the first time. So it's really cool. So we recommend an open house event. Have people come in there, take a look at it. Professionals, people can test it out. You can see how it actually operates, and we thought that'd be a good recommendation. In-house improvements. When you go to the lab, though, although it is a great space, it does look like a research lab. There's chairs stacked up. There's cords everywhere. There's papers everywhere. And that's typical of scientists. They just have stuff everywhere. So we recommended they put some couches in there, some sort of refrigerator, something like that, where they can provide, an actual consumer service, rather than just the lab itself. There's no seating in there besides the desk behind the chair behind the desk. So we recommended some couches and some different in-house improvements that would, make the lab a little more consumer friendly. Obviously, we asked that the lab follow up with our professional contacts that we already made. Like I said, we have the one with Kodo. They're the ones that are the most interested. We followed up with them quite a few times. We've already spoke with a couple of their members, and they're absolutely interested. So we definitely recommend you follow up with them and all the other professional contacts we made. And then develop a website. Not having a budget, it was kind of hard to launch a website and that sort of thing. But we do have the content, and I think that was what they were lacking before. So now that they have the content for the website, they have a goal, they have a vision, now they can develop it. So with that, we'll take any questions. All right. Thank you.